Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at Neptune through the houses. Yes, this is the second modern day planet we are going to be exploring within this series. Now, before we do dive in, first thing I want to say is if you would like more information about the Neptune signs, okay, so Neptune through the signs, I have actually made posts over on my Instagram. So go to hannahselsewhere on Instagram. It's in my highlights under Neptune, the Neptune signs. Yes, so if you're interested to learn more, feel free to give those a read. And of course, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I mean, if you do like this video, yes, hopefully you do. And let me know your Neptune placement. Yes, where is Neptune within your chart? So Neptune for me is in Capricorn and it's in the fifth house. It's actually right with Venus. So Venus and Neptune are the same degree in my chart. I believe they are both 17 degrees in Capricorn in the fifth house. Okay, so with that being said, the Neptune houses. I'm excited about this one. Yes, let's get into it. Right. So just to let you know, some of the services that I offer, the products that I offer, you can find the links in the description box. There is eBooks there, guides, cheat sheets. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. And of course, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much to my patrons over at Patreon for all of your support. If you would like to join the Patreon, you can do so by going to the link below. And for more information all about Neptune in astrology, well, there is an episode available over on my podcast, the Cosmic Check-in podcast. It is episode 17. Okay, so just an overview about Neptune. Naturally, Neptune is another one of our generational planets. All right. So it takes Neptune about 165 years to travel through all 12 signs. Basically meaning, well, I mean, you're never going to experience a Neptune return, nor will you experience a Pluto return throughout your life. But the thing about Neptune by the house is Neptune is going to be much more personal for you. But we're just going to be focusing on the houses. Right, so Neptune represents the collective unconscious. So I want you to think about symbolism. Consider even the tarot, right? You have a deck of tarot cards full of symbolism, meanings, and those images then are located, I suppose, within the collective unconscious. So as you are looking at your own tarot cards, there's probably thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of other people looking at their tarot cards. You're all seeing the same thing, but how you process that information is perhaps really dependent on your own experiences. Still, Neptune is so much about our dreams. So whenever you go to sleep at night, do you dream? Are you much of a dreamer? I mean, I have pretty vivid dreams. Maybe that's perhaps thanks to Jupiter in the 12th house when I think about so when I think of using the Placidus system, Jupiter is in the 12th. And the thing as well is it's this question of whenever we are dreaming, are we actually awake? And whenever we are awake, are we actually dreaming? Ooh. Neptune in this way can be quite a trippy, a trippy planet. And Neptune is also about our fantasies, right? Your wildest dreams, your wildest fantasies. You're just sitting in class and are you a daydreamer? Were you a daydreamer? I sort of imagine people with Neptune in the third house just trying to listen to the teacher teach a class, and they're just daydreaming. Here, maybe because the subject isn't really that exciting. So they're off in their own world there. But yes, dreams, fantasies, deep longings as well, we notice when it comes to Neptune in the chart. But of course, with Neptune being this generational planet, Neptune is about how your generation changes emotionally and also spiritually. Okay. So Neptune can really signify and show how your generation reacts to society's losses, and also how your generation suppresses the very thought of merging with others at the expense of your personal yearnings. Neptune is about how your generation rescues, romanticizes, and, well, escapes reality. Also, thinking about how your generation is deceived and disillusioned. So, there's a lot to Neptune here, as you can see. And really, how does society sacrifice? How does society heal, empathize? Think about how, when we go back to the collective unconscious stuff, think about how certain events in life, how they're passed on through the collective unconscious, right? Those emotions, those feelings, those deeper yearnings, etc. And naturally, as I previously mentioned, Neptune can be about how you are delusioned, but also how you're delusional and how you may be deceived. And this leads me on to something that I feel the need to mention. I got pretty inspired here. So I was thinking about the artist Vincent van Gogh. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But Vincent van Gogh is a very well-known artist, very famous, popular, known for his works. But you see, he cut off his left ear. And what happened was he suffered from hallucinations and attacks, and he would lose consciousness. So this makes me think about how Neptune can show up as, yes, our imagination, our creativity, right? So creativity comes from the imagination in this way. Beautiful, wonderful. But delusion also seems to come from the imagination, right? Madness here. And there then is this kind of fine line between something that is creative and something that is just mad and delusional. And here's the other thing about it. When we consider Neptune by sign, well, when Neptune was in Scorpio, so this was around the 1960s, what really started to happen to the psychology world was more of this push for cognitive psychology. So this branch of psychology, which is really dedicated to studying how people think, right? Studying the psyche. And really thinking here about things like thinking, emotion, creativity, and our problem-solving abilities. And how and why we think the way we do. But what I also even want to further add to this is consider the amount of people who do not get diagnosed with certain mental health concerns or problems, issues, etc. So you think about the likes of depression, and even I looked up another artist. So really just mental illnesses here, but consider the artist Edvard Munch. I hope again with pronunciations, I really do hope so. But if you ever recall the famous painting, The Scream, so apparently he actually suffered from anxiety and also from hallucinations. See, the thing about Neptune is Neptune can show up as this stuff in the chart. It can show up as mental illness, um, mental challenges in this way, also the likes of depression, anxiety, feeling disconnected from reality, the hallucination stuff, DRUG use, taking things to escape reality, right? Taking things that take us away from this world, right? Neptune is so much about transcendence. And that transcendence can, of course, be obtained by taking certain, substances to take us away from ourselves, if you will. And this is a really sensitive topic, to be quite honest with you, if you consider the amount of people who really do struggle to exist within the real world. It's too stressful. But here's the other thing. Neptune is also about healing. Neptune is also about that transcendence via the likes of art, and the likes of meditation, prayer, spirituality, right? We see this with Neptune too. And even just to further add to this, I want to mention that by finally attuning with ourselves, we can gain deeper perspectives. So we can go inward, right? This is about being able to go within. So is it that we need some time to ourselves? Maybe we're dealing with work or relationship matters and we just need time to contemplate, we need time to reflect. And such discoveries here is to not focus so much on the material world or on other people, and instead to turn our attention toward our spiritual state of being. So to be is a challenge most humans face, but it's the art of being that gives us an opportunity to shut up, if you will, for lack of better words here. Yes. So this idea of quieting the chitter chatter, the gobbledygook that goes on within the minds of us, humans everywhere. So it's actually through this silence that we can find the answers we seek. By going within, we welcome in external change. By reflecting on and shifting our own behavior, we unconsciously give permission for others to mirror back to us the changes we create. So, Neptune is really about healing, silence. It's finding that stillness within, right? Inner stillness, the calm, tranquility, retreating. Yes. Plus, Neptune is so much about devotion, selfless devotion, compassion, empathy, and naturally too, with escaping reality, we can do this in healthy ways. We can escape in healthy ways, such as reading a good book, going for a walk, going on a holiday, just taking some time to ourselves, listening to music, etc., etc. But just a couple of other examples I want to mention here to do with Neptune through the signs is we noticed New Age spirituality become pretty popular throughout the 70s and the 80s, and this was actually when Neptune was in Sagittarius, right? You think about Sagittarius related to belief systems. And a few years later, in the 2000s, what did we have? The rise of social media, whilst Neptune was in Aquarius. So with that, you see, Neptune can be this kind of deceptive planet, romanticizing things. I think about the amount of people who maybe look at what is happening on social media and think, oh, they must have the perfect life, etc. But really, it's not reality. It's not reality. Yes, Neptune can be connected to this stuff, romanticism, and naturally too, Neptune can show up as glamour, photography, film, media, art, Hollywood. Yes. All is not all is not what it seems when it comes to Neptune, of course. But just to finish off here, we are going to be focusing more on where you imagine, right? So we're going to think about your imagination and where you can be selfless. We may also touch on where you can be somewhat delusional too. We'll see. Okay. So with all of that being said, let's get into Neptune through the houses. All right. So here we go. First up, we have Neptune in the first house, individuals. Okay, so if you have Neptune in the first house, well, let me just say here, you could be like one of the artists, right? I mentioned two really popular, famous artists at the beginning. I'll remind you of them, and please forgive me for my pronunciation if it's correct, but Vincent van Gogh or Vincent van Gogh, I'm not sure pronunciation, but anyway, yes, Vincent van Gogh, and then also Edvard Munch. So you could very well be like them. And what I mean by this is your imagination can be so wild, beautiful, rich, just the things you can create with your imagination, and just how creative and artistic you can be. I mean, this could be through your writing. This could be through how you teach, right? How you share a message with the world. This could be through photography, right? Maybe you love to take photographs, or maybe you love to paint. Perhaps you love to dance, right? Dancing, maybe you make music, you actually compose your own music there. Maybe you draw, right? So there's a lot to this. It could be drama, right? Creating music videos, yes, film, etc. You have the vision, let's just say that. And it's almost like you can see the visions so vividly and so clearly. And so maybe your aims or your goals in this life is really about creating. It's so much about bringing those visions to life, okay? And even just being moved by your imagination. You could even very well show up in this way via your clothing, right? So how you present yourself to the world, this is where we see just how creative and how imaginative you are, right? It's your artistic qualities that are presented through how you dress yourself, through how you style yourself, thinking about your hair, your makeup, just your appearance in general here. My goodness. Plus, you can appear somewhat untouched. There's just something about you that's very mysterious. People cannot fully grasp you, and you're very free. Like, I'm thinking of just the flow, the stream of water just flowing, and you're all about that continuous motion and that movement. And yeah, so because you're so free, right? It's this emotional freedom with Neptune, if you will. Because of that, maybe people are actually really drawn to you. They think like, wow, that person is just really in touch with themselves, in tune with themselves. And you can even very well give off this peaceful presence, right? Just peaceful, calming, just this tranquility. When people are around you, they feel like they can just let go. I can let go with Neptune in the first house. Plus, people maybe can also pick up on how little you judge them, right? They feel like they can be themselves freely, openly, honestly, because it's like, well, you're not really gonna judge them or make these sort of huge opinions about them or of them. You may even just be considered a rather empathetic person, very sensitive to other people's needs. You care. You genuinely care about other people, and you can also be so sensitive, right? Like really sensitive when it comes to interacting with the world. Very sensitive about your surroundings. You may be the types of people who walk into a room and it's like, I don't know if I'm feeling this very much, right? And here, you can be so selfless. I mean, some of your goals, your aims, your life path, etc., could be that of just being a very charitable person. Heck, you could be the types of people who you give to charity, you volunteer, you you may get so any pets that you have, you may prefer to get them from a shelter or so to rescue, right? So rescue animals, or you could even change how you eat, you know, because it's like you want to help or you care, such as deciding to go vegan, as an example here. So, yes, very selfless people. You care a lot. But here's the thing, you might care a little too much. And this is not to say that there's anything wrong with feeling, with caring, etc. What I'm getting at here is, well, it could very well be that others could mistaken your kindness and your compassion as being weak. Now, don't get me wrong, if or when this happens, make no mistake about it with Neptune, you could become very angered. Here's the thing about Neptune, whilst it can show up as this selflessness, this love, this connection, it can also show up as erupting with so much anger. And it's like, why would you treat someone like that? Why would you treat me like that? Yes. But still, it could be here that there's projection at play. There is some type of projection at play where others may project onto you. Hey, you could very well project onto other people. You could mirror other people as well. You could get lost in other people's identities, maybe kind of take on their identities. And it's like, who is who, And yeah, there can be this struggle a little bit with trying to figure out who you are because you're so lost in the other. And there can also be the hypersensitivity, right? Where everything is so personal. It's a lot, right? So when you meet new people, you could be really sensitive to maybe how other people perceive you or their actions, etc. Yes. So with anything Neptune, and this is going to be, I would say, a bit of a theme throughout this video. With anything Neptune, we got to think about healthy boundaries. Just that healthy way of being able to separate a little bit from others. Naturally, the beauty, the gift here is that you can connect, you can go deep, and there is this spiritual essence here. And it's also your sensitivity that really comes through, and you may be appreciated for your sensitivity. You may even enter into some type of healing profession, or you take on healing roles there where you're so caring towards others, you're caring for animals, you're caring for children. So, so supportive. Oh my goodness. So, yes, your empathy, it goes a long way. Neptune in the first house, folks. But then I even just want to mention that there could be with you this addictive personality, right? You could have addictive tendencies. So tread lightly, right? Be cautious. That's the thing. Yeah, Neptune, caution can be good. Being a little bit realistic at times, the boundary stuff, because yes, there could be this potentiality to sort of become swept up in a situation, confused. There can be the fog with Neptune, lines can be blurred, and then, like I say, the addictive tendencies. So with that addictive quality here, I mean, really be mindful there. But at the same time, this is not to shame or judge or anything like that. The thing about addiction is it's it's not about just going, oh well, stop eating that, or stop taking that, or stop doing that. It's actually like a real challenge for people. But I'm just highlighting here that with you, you could have this type of addictive personality where maybe it is a good idea to show some type of caution. And hey, it could also be that there are so many things that you want to do in life. So many. You want to do this, 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 and this. But then it's difficult to narrow it down, and maybe things don't actually get done, or there's a lack of being practical there. So maybe this is where some of the delusion comes in, because you may think, oh, yes, this is incredible, but you don't really take the steps to get there. But hey, you know what? You also remind us that it's okay to dream, right? It's okay to have a vision. And you know what, too? A little bit of delusion doesn't hurt from time to time. Yes, and these things could also be presented through the art stuff, right? Your creativity. Now, if you have a Pisces rising, okay, so Pisces is on the rising, Pisces is in the first house, you may relate to this information, okay? But you want to think about locating your chart rulers. Locate Neptune and Jupiter for more information about your aims, your goals, your identity, and your approach to life. Okay, so let's now think about Neptune in the second house, individuals here. Okay, so with Neptune in the second house, well, let's think about imagination to begin with. You can make money from your imagination. So stay with me. Because you have some type of artistic flair, because you have something quite special about your creativity, you make money from it. Because maybe you're really talented, really gifted at photography, film, even making those romanticized sort of YouTube videos, like day in the life videos. And it's done so well, so beautifully. Yes, you could earn money from these things. Plus, you could earn money from your healing abilities. Yeah. So if we think about the care and the support with Neptune, and the empathy, the compassion, your compassion and your empathy could very well be just brought into a role where you're earning money. And maybe this isn't necessarily something that let's just say that you set out to do. Maybe you think, well, it's not that I deliberately went into this role for purpose, for reasons of earning money. It's more about this was my higher calling. This is what I feel was spiritually aligned with me. And you know what, too? Maybe it is others came to you, right? Others coming to you and saying, hey, Neptune in the second house, I know that there's something that you can help me with. I need some assistance from you. Can you maybe support me? Or there's maybe advice that is passed on. So basically, it's almost like the outside world shows you your spiritual gifts. Yes. And you may value, you may value your spiritual qualities. You may value your creativity, your imagination. And it's important to you to live this life where you can explore your imagination, where you can dream from time to time. I just want to share a little experience of mine, okay? So, whilst I do not have Neptune in the second house, I don't. But here's the thing. Libra rules the second house cusp in my chart. Venus rules Libra. And then when I locate Venus, Venus is in the fifth house of creativity with Neptune. They are the same degree. So I can kind of relate to this information, especially when I think about how what brings me so much happiness is listening to my music. My music has been a huge source of my inspiration for what I do on here. Yes, the lyrics, the sounds, the nostalgia, even. Oh, I get inspired so much by my music, and it pours out of me into my writing, into my my content creation, etc. Even the films that I watch. I mean, years ago, I made little Disney posts, and those posts were based on, hey, these are the films I watched whenever I was young. Alice in Wonderland, for example, is still one of my favorite movies. Just, oh, beautiful. So, back to you, Neptune in the second house, folks. You could very well relate here. You could make an income from your art, your spiritual practices, music, design, media, photography, etc. And what I also want to mention is when it comes to selflessness, well, you are highly selfless when it comes to your earnings, possibly. So financially, you may support others. You may be the types of people who give to charity, but even if that's something that you can't necessarily afford or do, there's just little acts of kindness. That's a big thing. Those acts, the small acts of kindness that you make for others throughout the day, whatever, and it doesn't have to just be financially. This could be your time. This could be just seeing maybe someone's in need of some sort of assistance and you step in. So it's through those acts of kindness that we see your selflessness. Naturally, however, the thing is this again, this is a theme, but the boundary stuff, because, well, healthy limitations can be beneficial, and recognizing when others are just trying to take. Okay. So, for instance, if you find yourself being the one who is giving and giving and giving, again, this could be off your resources, this could be off your finances, this could be off your time, even just something as small as, okay, I'm listening, there's time in that. But if you find yourself just giving and giving and you don't feel like you're getting anything in return, then there could be real issues there, there could be. And so this is where we notice the potentialities of people taking advantage of you. And the thing about this as well is when stuff like this starts to happen, when you here's the thing. When you feel underappreciated, undervalued, you could start to dwell. You start to dwell on, I wasn't seen. I was just felt like I was invisible there. Why did that happen? So you could dwell in this kind of self-pity, if you will. And because a lot of this then is about you not feeling worthy, you not feeling valued or good enough, even. But even just those feelings of, well, not feeling good enough, they could also just overwhelm you from time to time. But maybe a part of those things is linked back to an unmet need or an unmet desire. Plus, when we consider the delusional side of things, well, with Neptune in the second house, it could also be suggested that when it comes to things like earning, budgeting, saving, spending, etc., all the financial matters, your calculations at times do not add up. You can be unrealistic. You could maybe have these wildest fantasies and dreams, but how that all plays out within reality could be quite different. But what I will say is you can use your intuition to your benefit. So sure, there could be some delusion or deception, what have you, not really sure there, the fog, etc. It can also be about, do you know what? I trust. I trust. I trust that the universe, God, is going to provide for me. I trust that money comes, money goes. There is this flow, this stream of money, this type of attitude, or just, you know what, being intuitive about how you spend your money, earn money, etc., and just following that, So still, I would say with this, a little bit of consideration for being practical too, right? Now, if Pisces rules the second house cusp within your chart, you could very well relate to some of the information that I just shared there. But what you want to do is locate Neptune and Jupiter within your chart for more information, and then bring that information back to your finances, your earning potential, your self-worth, etc. Let's now think about Neptune in the third house, folks. Let's think about you. Okay. Neptune in the third house, individuals. So, well, here we go. With Neptune in the third house, right off the bat, your mind, such poetic people. You can think in the abstract. You can have these visions that are so out there and maybe very complex to get from here to here. Now, because of that complexity, because of that challenge, perhaps, actually, this makes communication a little bit tricky and challenging. Because after all, how do you articulate this huge, expansive, imaginative brain you possess? And maybe for you, it is just about flow, following a stream of consciousness. Maybe it's important to not doubt yourself or to not sort of second guess, to second guess. There's trust in this. And I think this is going to be a theme as well with Neptune. There is a great deal of trust to believe in the possibilities here. And that, yeah, sure, maybe to other people or to some people, what you say or how you communicate verbally there, outwardly there, isn't so understood. Sure. But does that mean that you shouldn't communicate? You shouldn't speak? Of course not. So it is about finding your rhythm, finding your flow. And you know what, too? There are people out there that exist who will understand you a great deal, right? And I'll say this, you perhaps could be very, very good at communicating via other means. So think about poetry. Poetry, your art, music, through dance, hey, even through moving your body. My goodness, you could be great at taking people on a journey, this beautiful journey, and just full of symbolism and the hidden messages in things. Mind-blowing. Very gifted. Plus, there is this spiritual essence that you bring through communication, right? It's how loving you can be, how kind, my goodness, kindness goes a long way. How kind, how compassionate you can be with your words, the empathy that just comes through your voice, and how sensitive you can be as people, right? You can really feel like what other people are feeling through what they say. And maybe for you, it is recognizing that there's a tone, right? There is a tone to our voice, a tone to how we communicate. There is a sound there, and you can pick up on those things. Plus, you could very well be interested in esoteric subjects. Spirituality subjects, those metaphysical things. Indeed. And it is also likely that how you do speak, it's seen as really intuitive, right? So you could possess a very intuitive mind, and that intuition, it guides you. Naturally, when it comes to this, whilst yes, it's sort of like a gift in a way where you can pick up on those hidden messages, etc. Well, it could also be where you have a feeling, it's like, I can sense this, I can feel this, but you can't quite, you can't identify, you can't visibly see it. So because of that, maybe when you go to say, I have a feeling about this person or about this situation, other people are like, why? No, why would you think that, right? And then later on, it is so clear. This is what I'm getting from this energy. It's so clear. And maybe for you, it's just trying to come to terms with all will be revealed in due course. And you don't have to do anything about it. It's like, yeah, it's all going to come out anyway, right? It's that kind of energy. This is what I feel from this. Now, with the selflessness, we could see you being rather selfless with your siblings, with your cousins, your neighbors. I mean, you could be really very kind and charitable with even close friends of yours, classmates. Maybe whenever you were growing up, you were seen as just very sweet and empathetic. Yes, very, very caring. And the other thing is, with your siblings, you may forgive so much. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could be the types of people where your siblings or your cousins or whoever here, that they may go down a path that you don't agree with. You don't agree with it, but you still recognize that you love them unconditionally. You still love them. You still care about them. So it's this attitude of, I'm still going to be here whenever they come to their senses. I'll be here. Right? So there is that love and that empathy and that selflessness with you. Now, as for the delusional stuff, it may be quite easy for you to get caught up in the muddle, in confusion. So what I mean by this is, perhaps there can be times, or there have been times throughout your life, where others have tried to manipulate you. And maybe a part of this is because you see the best in people. And because of that, then people may try to take advantage. Now, don't get me wrong, I also think that you're the types of people who can read between the lines in this way, or maybe sort of sense when something is off, but there could be a few matters, details that you overlook, that you miss. There could be some details that you don't quite catch, and people could act all sweet as pie, etc. And because you're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, because you're trying to see the best in them, it could be where things spread. Certain rumors could spread. There could be gossip involved here. Yes, even just be considerate about what you say too in terms of gossip there, of course. But yeah, it's almost like the delusion could be where others try to get you to believe in what they want you to believe. So yeah, others want you to believe in what they believe in, and you could just go along with that without realizing that maybe their intentions are not actually very pure, etc. But hey, this is also where we want to say with this, healthy boundaries, healthy limitations, showing some type of caution with Neptune. And when you do sort of discover certain things about others, you could then decide to remove yourself. You could decide to go within and really reflect upon, are these the types of people I want to sort of be involved with? I mean, it could be where you have felt pretty victimized by others, right? Victimized maybe by classmates, peers, especially thinking about your early schooling years here. So being victimized by others and their opinions, etc. You can be really sensitive actually to the words that other people say. It can cut deep, right? So yes, I think for you, there's just something about coming to terms with greater healthy boundaries within discussions, or when it comes to you and your peers and classmates, etc. Now, if Pisces rules the third house cusp in your chart, you could very well relate to the information that I just shared there. But what you want to think about is locating Neptune and Jupiter within your chart for more information. Then bring that information back to, okay, the communication, siblings, peers, classmates stuff. So let's now think about Neptune in the fourth house, folks. Okay, so Neptune in the fourth house. If you have Neptune in the fourth house here, well, let's just say this. Your imagination, it comes out within your home. You may have had a vision. You may have had a dream of the type of family you wanted to have when you were older, or the type of home you wanted to have when you were older. And maybe even that comes to life, possibly. Or you can be highly idealistic about home. And so maybe you're constantly changing things, adapting, you're very artistic, you're very creative within your home, and you want to create this space where people feel right? It's the inner calm, it's the peace, right? It's that tranquility when it comes to Neptune. So you may decide to set up a family situation, a home situation where people feel that sense of relief and they can just breathe and they can create. Maybe even you are highly creative and highly imaginative within your home. So you may have, an art studio, or you may have a certain area of the house where you can just relax, sip your morning coffee, meditate, read. There can be a little hiding spot just for you, and you recognize, hey, this is where I do all of my meditation. It's a sacred thing to me. I need to do it every day, Okay. Yes. You create that safe space, that peaceful, that ever so peaceful environment. You know what's funny about this? So, whenever exploring the Placidus system, Neptune is in the fourth house in my chart, and Venus is there with Neptune. So I can relate to this. I have my own little jar of crystals. I'm looking at it right now. I have plants around me. I have my wax melts. I just love my home comforts. I love being at home. I love doing what I do here from within the comfort of my home. A lot of this is even highlighted with Venus again. And we think about Venus ruling my second house, right? The earnings, income, etc. So I work from home, but it's also this spiritual connection. I will meditate sometimes. I will listen to my music. I will change things around so that things are a bit more peaceful. And it's pleasing. It's this pleasing environment, pleasing surroundings. Yes, so if Neptune is in the fourth house, you may relate to this information. Plus, you can be highly empathetic toward the people you live with. So, thinking about your family, any children you have, anyone you live with, even, hey, housemates, roommates, etc. Maybe you can be really empathetic with them, really caring. And this is even where we see some of the selflessness come into the equation, right? Where you may be really selfless with your family. But of course, here's the other thing about it is maybe Neptune in the fourth can create some type of challenge in that there could be a lack of boundaries when it comes to family, becoming enmeshed, right? Really super caught up in their stuff. Or it could be that you didn't have so much space or your own personal boundaries, they were not so respected within your home growing up. And so, what may be valuable for you is being able to create a home where you feel like you can be more free in this way, spiritually free, emotionally free. You're not caught up in everybody else's drama and their issues and feeling like you need to martyr yourself, feeling like you need to save other people. Yes, this is where we see just how your selflessness and your sensitivity and your empathy there for others could very well be more challenging, right? Things could turn for the worse. And it could get to a point where you're constantly giving and giving and giving to family. And then you think, well, what about you? So that is something to naturally consider there. But hey, still, we can't deny you care so much. Your compassion is present. Even if you do have children, even if you have a family of your own, you're going to be so, so kind and considerate toward your children's needs. You know, if you marry, for instance, your spouse, you're going to be very considerate toward their needs. You can just come across as this nurturer, this caregiver who is deeply, deeply empathetic. Naturally, there could also be some inconsistencies. There can be instability when it comes to home and family. Maybe there's some confusion there. Perhaps there's some delusion there too, right? We think about the delusional stuff. There could be certain family members who possess this victim mentality. And so you can feel like you get pulled back into that, back into their victimhood, their own blaming and stuff like this. So maybe it's important for you to be able to bring it to, right, how am I doing? Feeling into your own emotional healing, what you can actually control, recognizing what you can't control, what isn't what isn't your responsibility in this way too. And even if you do have a family of your own, you may really seek to create loving memories with your family. Maybe you have so much from childhood that you think about, right? There's the nostalgia there. Naturally, however, this is where we consider how you could paint certain things to be perfect or romanticize, right? You could romanticize, right? This is where we see the disillusionment, romanticizing the past and thinking, oh, it was so amazing, it was so great, but it's like, was it though? Try and not look at it as it was all so perfect and wonderful. Maybe there were other things going on there, and it's just trying to have more of this holistic view, to be a bit more realistic about the past too, and hey, to be somewhat more realistic even about home and family, because the thing is that if you consider, oh, this needs to be perfect with the home and family stuff, you could set yourself up for failure. You could set yourself up for disappointment, because no family is perfect, right? Now, if the sign of Pisces rules the fourth house cusp in your chart, or Pisces is on the IC, you could very well relate to the information that I just shared there. But what you want to do is locate both Neptune and even Jupiter. Locate Neptune and Jupiter within your chart for more information about family and home, etc. Okay, so let's now turn our focus to Neptune in the fifth house, individuals. So I have this placement. Yes, Neptune is in the fifth house with Venus. They are the same degree in my chart. So using the whole sign system, yes, right. With Neptune in the fifth house here, what we notice when it comes to you is, well, you possess so much creativity. And what I mean by this is, you could be involved in just many, many creative activities, anything that inspires you, really. And I guess that's the thing about Neptune. Neptune is so much about inspiration. What inspires us, what uplifts us in this way. And so for you, it could be that you channel all of your creativity into the things that inspire you the most. Just speaking from experience, because I have this placement. I have tried drama. I've tried writing music. I've tried just even making fun acting videos on YouTube. This is so funny. That's how I started out on YouTube. This was back in 2009. And I did these monologues, one of which was to the movie Mean Girls, which I think I've still kept for me, but you can't find any of the other monologues there. And I remember as well, I used to make fun music videos where I would mime to the track, to the song, and then I would think about, okay, well, how can I make this a fun music video? Avril Lavigne comes to mind, Rihanna comes to mind, Taylor Swift as well, and a few others. So yes, if you have Neptune in the fifth house, you may relate to just this pure bliss, this pure bliss you get from exploring your imagination, from exploring the things that light you up. You could have like these outer body experiences when it comes to music, for example. I mean, I feel like that has happened to me before, where music has been so uplifting, where I feel like I've transcended to some other dimension. And I love connecting with the music. There are certain songs that just get me on a whole other level than other people. It's almost like Certain songs speak to me more deeply than any other person could speak to me. That's how it feels. Yes, with Neptune in the fifth house, you could very well relate to this information. And maybe as well, you can be gifted, right? There could be some type of musical gift you possess, whether this be singing, right? You could be a great singer. You could be a great songwriter. You could be a great graphic designer, or maybe you love just creating fun posts on Instagram, even. You could be really talented at that. Like, the list could be endless here, but yes, you could possess some type of gift when it comes to the arts. And maybe for you too, just the important thing about it all is having fun, is even, hey, the escapist qualities. It's like the entertainment that you consume or that you create for others, that's all a form of escaping. Escaping from your everyday life. And you could very well inspire other people through your creativity, through your art. Plus, there could be some imagination involved, idealism involved when it comes to romance and love. Let me just say, and I may be giving too much away whilst I say this, too much away about myself, but I remember as a teenager, I would listen to my music and I would dream. I would dream of being in music videos, and then there would be a guy in the music video, and yeah, we would hit it off, right? So I used to be quite imaginative in that way. You may relate. And it could even be that you dream of the perfect soulmate, right? You even seek this soulful connection, a soulful connection with someone. And the love is, it's so romantic, it's beautiful. But then again, here's the other thing about it, and maybe we're jumping a little bit ahead here by saying this, but this is where the delusional stuff can come in, because you could build it up in your mind of the perfect person, the perfect partner, the perfect romance, love, 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 love. Very idealistic, but to your own detriment. And then you're faced with the reality of the situation. You're faced with, oh, this person isn't who I thought they were, who I visualized them to be in my imagination, in my mind. It's not who I thought it was, who I thought they were. And then what you're left with, oh, I'm so disappointed. I'm so hurt. And then it's really sad, but you were kind of breaking your own heart. You were also projecting your own expectations, let's say that, your own expectations onto the union. And to even just consider too that, hey, there could be certain relationships that you experience, right, romances, etc., where you have been taken for granted, where there has been some levels of stepping over your boundaries, not listening to you, right? People who have not really considered your feelings and how much you care. Yes, there may be people you attract who do not consider your personal needs. Plus, it could be a situation of becoming tangled up in the other too much. It's this emotional entanglement with a romantic partner. There's the codependency stuff that could very well play out there. So I just wanted to say that. And I even want to mention here, when it comes to children, right? So the fifth house can show up as the type of children we have. Now, on one hand, it could be that the children you create, the children you have, are very kind and empathetic. And when you see these qualities sort of be presented via your children, You may feel just so emotional, so emotional. But on the other hand, here, it could be that you idealize the whole having children thing, right? Being a parent. You could very well just focus on, oh, well, this is the children I'm going to have, and it's going to be so lovely. And the dreamy stuff comes in and the fantasies. And then you're met with the reality. You're met with the reality. But you know what? I'll give it to you here. You may be the types of people who can play with children so well because you get that for children, their imagination is like wild, wild. You can make anything and everything this imaginative play for children. It makes me think about the types of relationships that I've had with my nieces and nephews, and coming up with these fun imaginary games to play and stuff like this. Yes. And the other thing about this is when it comes to the romance stuff and the love stuff, you can be very forgiving, really forgiving, and you can show compassion even when it comes to your own stuff. Even if there is a mistake on your part, or if maybe you get something wrong there within your relationships, you slip up basically. And hey, you know what? None of us are perfect, of course, but if so, then you may find that you attract a romantic partner who's actually really caring and understanding, right? Yes. So with the selflessness stuff, you can be selfless with your romantic partners. You could maybe even appreciate spiritual values when it comes to love and romance too. So thinking about, okay, I really want to show compassion within my romantic relationships. I want to come from this loving space. I want to open my heart within my romantic relationships. So there's selflessness there. And there's also selflessness when it comes to how you create, when it comes to the hobbies and interests you possess, right? So you could be really very giving and generous with others, just wanting to, create in a way where people can benefit. They can benefit from your creations. Now, there is just one more thing I want to mention here. And this may not apply to all of you, of course, but whenever I think about how the fifth house can be linked to gambling, and then I think about how Neptune can be about addiction, maybe there could be some addictive tendencies when it comes to gambling. So maybe that's something to be cautious about. There could even be some addictive tendencies when it comes to taking risks. You can get swept up in a delusional situation, in a risky situation, right? And you may not see very clearly because there is that fog, there's that confusion. Things are just not so clear. And there could also be some confusion when it comes to your creativity too, right? It could even just be there's certain periods where you need that time to retreat. You need that time to go within. Now, if Pisces rules the fifth house cusp in your chart, you may very well relate to some of the information that I just shared there, but make sure that you are locating Neptune and Jupiter for more information, and then bring that information back to romance, love, children, your creativity, etc. Okay, let's now turn our focus to Neptune in the sixth house, folks. Okay, so with Neptune in the sixth house, what we notice when it comes to you, first and foremost, let's think about imagination. Your work could very well involve you using your imagination, you using your creativity. It could involve being an artist, being a writer, a poet, being a healer, showing up within roles that require a lot of compassion and empathy too. And I think too, you can be highly imaginative about how you go about attending to your, attending to your daily routines and getting through the day. right? So things may not be so linear or so step by step, right? You may find actually when it comes to trying to be consistent, right? So to be consistent about your routines and your daily habits, that's kind of like the window. It's, maybe for you, you need to flow, or maybe for you, there's just a certain way that you do things, or maybe you prefer to follow your intuition, to be guided more than anything. Naturally, with this, there could be some confusion present. There could be some frustrations, especially if we think about how, a lot of the times whenever you don't complete your to-do list, you could very well internalize that, right? And start to punish yourself or blame yourself. And then there could be some of the confusion stuff of like, I don't know, I'm not good enough. Maybe I need to improve better. And then you can convince yourself of all these crazy things that aren't actually true about yourself, you know? Yeah. So maybe a part of this is found in that compassion and that self-compassion and kindness towards yourself, and being able to say, yeah, okay, this is not the way I do things. It doesn't necessarily fit in with how everybody else does things. That's okay. Your way of doing it isn't wrong, right? And this then again is about being imaginative about your routines, right? You could sort of form a whole new structure, a whole new way of doing things because you allowed your imagination to go there. And then you figure out that, oh, hey, actually that works out really, really well for me. But maybe it changes. It's this it's this adaptability with Neptune in the sixth house. But then I also think it's about, again, it's that empathy. It's the empathy that you show toward yourself, and maybe too recognizing your own delusions when it comes to work, when it comes to productivity, the workload, because you could be overly idealistic where you're like, right, okay, I'm going to do so much today. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And what you do then is you're just like rushing and rushing through. You're going here to here to here. And maybe, sure, there could be certain days where you're like on it. Yes, got it. Awesome. But then there's other days where, I don't know, it could be your time of the month, right? It could be a time period when you're not feeling so good. You're just not, right? You're not feeling it. It's whatever. Or maybe there's other things happening in your life, and there could be other stresses. There could be unpredictable things that are added to your plate. There could be family stuff going on. But you still may convince yourself that, like, oh, yes, I will achieve all this anyway, right? Whew, this is where we see with you these unrealistic expectations that you can place on yourself. And at the same time, we notice with you how you can be selfless with your time. You may be the types of people who are willing to give other people your time, right? You'll stop on the street for anyone, right? You'll make the time out of your day to schedule that in, to be there for support. Okay, someone may even call you last minute and you don't actually have the time. You don't, because there's other things. But then you think, no, it's fine. I've got this. And yes, sure, this shows your selflessness. And you could very well enter into working rules that require you to be selfless, right? Thinking about working within the health industry, as an example, helping just helping other people, being of service to other people, right? So the selflessness is there, but I also think at the same time, it's important to consider when it's all too much, when it's all too overwhelming. And you need to sort of politely say, do you know what? No, I can't do that. Can't do that today. Too much. Oh, last minute thing. Actually, I have this on already. Or, hey, I'm not really in the mood for that anymore. And then that's it. That's it. You can't do it. So those healthy boundaries, recognizing how you can set healthy boundaries for yourself throughout the day, plus even when it comes to your health, perhaps it's important for you to switch off throughout the day at times, to go within, breathe out, meditate, walk on the grass, right? Connect with the earth, stuff like this. Maybe you love to stretch, to do some yoga, to do some Pilates, etc. And I'll even say this, you can be highly selfless when it comes to helping coworkers. Even if you're someone who is self-employed and you work for yourself, you may still collaborate with other self-employed people. You know, think about the social media space with the amount of YouTubers, for instance. You could be a YouTuber and it's just you're focusing on yourself, but there's another YouTuber and maybe they want help, or you connect with them and you give each other some type of advice. You actually support one another. You can even support each other in terms of, you know what, being a YouTuber, these are the challenges, these are the struggles. And what's this? Empathy. There's so much empathy there. There's connection. But still, even if you work, more within the corporate world, or just maybe even you do work a 9 to 5 there, you're still going to showcase this compassionate attitude when it comes to helping your coworkers, especially if you like them. However, here's the other thing. It could very well be that certain coworkers, they cross your boundaries. They can be disrespectful. And it's about being mindful of when others are trying to take. This is kind of a theme when it comes to Neptune, because Neptune can be so giving and selfless. But that doesn't mean, right? So basically, other people could, from the other side of that, be like, yeah, okay, give it. But they don't actually try to give you anything, right? And this is not about saying that it's about giving so that you receive in return. That's not what Neptune is about. But we all have our limits. And people can be takers. They can be emotional vampires. Let's just say that. So you want to think about this energy and relate it to coworkers, right? The workspace. But on a positive note, I'll say this. You can be so good with animals. You may even dream of working with animals one day, and you may even dream of the type of pet you want to own there. Yes, you may connect so well with animals and pets. Now, if Neptune rules, or sorry, if the sign of Pisces rules the sixth house cusp in your chart, you may relate to some of the information that I just shared there. But you want to think about locating both Neptune and Jupiter in your chart for more information, and then bring that information back to your work, services, health, and your daily routines. All right, so let's now think about Neptune in the 7th house, folks. Neptune in the 7th house. So interestingly, in my chart, Pisces rules the 7th house, and this is what we've been saying so far. If Pisces does rule the house cusp, you could very well relate to the information. Okay, so with Neptune in the 7th house, individuals, you may be quite imaginative, let's just say, when it comes to business relationships, business partnerships. You may partner up with creative people. You may collaborate with really creative people, with highly artistic business partners there. And maybe just overall with collaborations, you prefer to collaborate in this way where it feels like there is an energetic exchange, or there is an energetic closeness, or you feel connected. You're not just going to partner up with anybody. Maybe for you, a big part of it is feeling, right? It's the feeling tone. It's feeling that close support, that close connection. And maybe as well, this is where we see how your clients and your customers could be rather emotional people, and you may want to support them. You may want to care for them, be really empathetic. You may get told actually by your clients and customers just how caring you are, how empathetic you can be, and how much you don't judge them. You try to just be considerate toward them. And the other thing about this is you could very well attract long-term committed partners who are compassionate and empathetic. They might even reflect back to you your own empathy and your own compassion. And maybe a part of that as well is being able to look within yourself and to show yourself that self-compassion. Maybe you can be actually quite hard on yourself. And so there is something about other people reflecting to you, reminding you, hey, be kind to yourself, treat yourself with love. And so in this regard, you, in a way, enter into these relationships and they help you, they support you with your healing, your own emotional healing. Yes, helping to heal your emotional body, your emotional self. And you might also feel connected on a spiritual level, on a soulful level with your partners. Thinking about relationships here through a lens of, yes, long-term committed relationships, marriage, union, even close friends. It's important, I feel, for you to feel the spiritual connection. So basically, it's more than just the superficial stuff. Maybe you seek to go deeper. You seek to even it's like you can connect more based on a feeling, right? It's not even about what's said necessarily. It's more, it's more of a feeling. And you can sense that. Naturally, however, with the disillusionment stuff, we can see possibly you getting caught up in projection within relationships, projecting what you want to see, okay? Idealizing others, putting them on a pedestal. That's a big Neptune thing, is putting others on a pedestal and possibly sacrificing yourself within relationships, sacrificing your own needs, your own values, your own desires, your own wants and longings. Maybe there's some fears here, fears tied to relationships, fears of ending a relationship, fears of being alone. And there could also be a lack of boundaries within relationships. Again, we can see the emotional entanglement here present. So, a couple of things here. It's good to be cautious of what you're projecting onto partners, what you want to see, rather than the actual reality. Or it's important to see people as a whole and not just based on, this perfect image, or based on the romance and, your dreams that are just kind of placed onto the relationship. But at the same time, you could very well meet a certain partner, or you could connect with certain friends, and it actually does feel like a dream. It does feel like, oh my gosh, this is the kind of relationship that I always dreamt of having. This is amazing. Okay. So we want to say that. We want to say that. And yet we also notice the denial. The denial stuff, burying your head in the sand. So maybe when things are not going so well, you can just deny or bury your head in the sand, or just not want to think about it. Okay, even if there is codependency or the entanglement stuff, you may not want to look at those things. Maybe you're used to behaving in this way within relationships. You're used to having other people sort of speak for you or decide for you in this way, and there's so many sacrifices that you can make within partnerships. Or it could even be where you're so caught up in it that you just want it to work so badly. And so you'll do anything and everything to make it work so badly, even if you go against your greater judgment, right? Even if you go against what you know deep down is what you need and what is best for you. So, a couple of things here. Yes, it could be that there are the healing qualities within relationships. We could even see this through therapeutic settings. But there could also be the becoming swept up in relationships, even attracting partners who are unobtainable or sort of wanting, being attracted to, wanting, longing for partners who are unobtainable. Or there could be challenges here when it comes to what you and the other person seek, right? So thinking about, should we get married? Should we have children? Should we do this, right? The commitment stuff could be a bit of a challenge there, or being able to define certain things within the relationship. Yes. And it could even be where you can be slightly unattainable yourself, where you kind of keep this distance, this separation. You may not be able to recognize your own disillusionments, your own mirroring, your own projections and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a tricky one in this way. It's like, well, what's fact from fiction? So maybe the important thing for you is to recognize when you're becoming swept up in just that dreamlike state, when there's that kind of fog. Maybe it takes for a conversation to be had. Maybe it takes for you to actually go and seek some type of advice or counsel from professionals in this way to help you make sense of things. Or maybe it takes for a trustworthy friend, to kind of help you look into yourself a little bit more there. And hey, you know what? The last thing I'm going to say about this is you could be asking others for forgiveness when really you should be forgiving yourself. Because that's the thing. You could take everything on within your relationships. And I'm also talking about friendships here, where you feel like, oh, well, I need to change. I need to change. I need to improve. I need to look at myself. But I feel as if there is so much healing found in you being able to, yes, it could be forgiving yourself for past mistakes, but also you being able to come to this place of clarity from within, stillness from within, that there is an importance of being loving and compassionate with yourself. Okay. Now, if Pisces rules the 7th house cusp, so if Pisces is on the descendant, you may very well relate to some of the information that I just shared there, but you want to think about locating Neptune and Jupiter in the chart and to bring that information back to your relationships there. All right, let's now move on to Neptune in the 8th house, folks. So with Neptune in the 8th house, well, what do we have here? We have the people who are highly mystical, highly mysterious, perhaps psychic, right? You could possess these profound psychic abilities and you could use them to your benefit, to your advantage. You could use them within professions, within roles that require healing and exploring the unseen, exploring the esoteric subjects, right? The metaphysical stuff, the occult stuff, the mysteries of life. Yes. You may possess such a fascination when it comes to these topics and subjects and areas. I mean, you are the people who you might have, perhaps you still see ghosts or spirits, or you have some type of connection with the other side. You may be able to see beyond the veil or feel strongly certain presence, a presence with you. And you could very well also make certain spells, you could do certain rituals, etc. Throughout the day. Maybe for you, it's important to do those things. And in terms of, well, your imagination, I mean, you could be very imaginative in that, well, you could come up with really creative ways of managing resources, other people's resources. You can be idealistic about shared resources, the finances that, so thinking about even the finances that you and your significant other share. I mean, you could be quite a visionary there, very imaginative about how the money is managed, even thinking about taxes, loans, debts, right? Being quite imaginative about these things. The material wealth side of things, yes, you could be quite creative there. However, we could also notice with you the confusion here, the disillusionment here, avoiding certain tax situations because it's too much, or just, you know what, just accidental stuff. It's like you didn't fully recognize at the time, right? Maybe you made a certain mistake there, for instance. Or we could see here certain criminal activities, right? People maybe stealing from you, taking from you, uh, having issues when it comes to taxes, fraud stuff coming into the equation. And it's just a pure headache. It's so annoying. But maybe similarly to that of having Neptune in the second house, there is some type of trust. Maybe there's even some type of spiritual guidance with this, or there's something karmic about this where you kind of think to yourself, hey, do you know what? Yeah, there was some sort of fraudulent acts happening, but I'm trusting that God, the universe, the creator has my back. They're on my side. So I'm going to trust that this is going to play out and they're going to get what's coming to them, perhaps, or that things are going to happen in a really healthy, good way for me. So there is that too. And maybe as well, just be mindful, be cautious of getting caught up in criminal activity, involved in criminal activity, to not become tangled up in everybody else's shady business. Just no. But what I will say about this is where we find selflessness, because you could be very selfless actually toward people who do perform certain criminal acts. Of course, with reason, there's more nuance to this, but you could be highly empathetic and really sort of understanding, right? Where you kind of think, well, I can kind of see why that person did that, because they were in a really unhealthy position. They were going through a lot. You could be so caring and so comforting toward people who are struggling with addiction, people who have experienced grief or loss or pain. Such kind people, very compassionate towards those who are going through it. And maybe a part of this is because you have experienced certain losses, right? And it actually could be death, right? It could be literal death. It could be a certain family member who died because of their addiction. It could be loss or death because of it begins with S. I don't want to say the word because of, I know I'll probably get demonetized for it, but I hope that you maybe can pick up on what I was trying to say there. And I also want to say that when it comes to intimacy, you can be so loving, and you can open your heart. Naturally, there could be some forms of escapism or confusion. There could even be projecting your wildest fantasies onto sex partners in this way, sort of projecting what you want to see onto them too. There could also be some lack of boundaries. Lines could be blurred there when it comes to intimacy. There could be codependency. It can be difficult to have some healthy separation there, right? I mean, this could be like this anxiety that you possess from not being around a certain person. You're really, really anxious about it. And yeah, so being able to separate yourself or to be able to see, okay, I'm an individual, there can be challenges there. So, with this all being said, maybe for you, there is some type of psychological stuff to address within yourself. There's some fears here to address within yourself. Maybe going to speak with some type of counselor or therapist or psychologist, etc. And do you know what, too? There could be a lot of secrecy present, too. Okay. Things that are hidden, maybe even hiding money, right? So there could be hiding money from your partner, for instance, or it could be that your partner keeps a secret when it comes to, so they're secret when it comes to their own money, right? They're secretive about their own resources. And so if or when this happens, that can lead to so much disappointment and maybe even distrust. You may really start to question, where's the trust within this relationship? So maybe there's a lot of conversation to be had if this stuff comes up, okay? Still, to end this on a more positive note, we notice with you, if you've got Neptune in the 8th house, your ability to guide people through their own loss, their own pain, their own suffering, to really be there as these very supportive figures, empathetic, and as potential healers. Even the insight that you provide, the advice that you provide could just help someone else without even realizing it. It's not like you're going in to fix or anything. It's just that your insights connect with another person. Now, if Pisces rules the 8th house cusp in your chart, you could very well relate to the information that I just shared there. But what you want to think about is locating Neptune and Jupiter. Locate both Neptune and Jupiter within the chart, then bring that information back to that of loss, the occult, your intimate relationships, etc. All right, so let's now move on to Neptune in the 9th house, folks. So, with Neptune in the 9th house, what we notice here is how much of a dreamer you are, how much of a visionary you are, especially considering the future, your aspirations. You could very well have these beliefs. You may possess these beliefs of being loving, being charitable, being kind, being honest with others, opening up your heart with others. And maybe your teachings, right? So if it is that you teach others, your teachings are very inspirational, your teachings are spiritual, and you provide these spiritual insights with the world. Even think about how the 9th house is about broadcasting or publishing. Your publications, what you broadcast, oh my gosh, can be so empathetic, compassionate, right? And you know what? You could very well inspire the masses. You could inspire them to dream, to be kind to themselves. You may even be quite a romantic in this way, or share information that is romanticized quite a in big ways, really. And when it comes to travel too, when we think about how the 9th house is to do with travel, oh, you could be really dreamy about that stuff, right? Really like caught up in a vision and a dream and imagining, oh, I would love to go here, I would love to go here. Naturally, with this, you could go on spiritual retreats, right? You could decide to travel to these places where, oh, there's just such a deep spiritual connection that you form. But there could also be here something about maybe being caught up in this dream and being too idealistic, or the delusional stuff, right, with Neptune, unrealistic too, right? But this doesn't stop you from dreaming. This doesn't stop you from believing. I think what I like about Neptune is that it's okay to welcome in some delusion, right? It's okay to do that from time to time. But I'll even say this: traveling to certain destinations can involve healing for you. Oh, so therapeutic. Perhaps they involve sacrifice, they involve rescue, and absorbing knowledge from creative professors, creative gurus is preferred. Maybe when it comes to certain teachers or mentors, etc., that you listen to, that you watch, etc., that you learn from, what is important to you is that you feel some type of connection, right? That you feel like those people are honest, those people are compassionate, and maybe as well, this is where we see how creative and imaginative you can be, right? When it comes to your own knowledge, you could be so gifted at creative writing, for example, thinking about entering into these training programs where it is so much about movement, rhythm, music, literature, thinking about art and letting out your creativity. You may be moved by the knowledge that you learn, that you understand, and maybe that's a big part of it. It is to be moved. That is a big focus for you. Now, at the same time, there could be something here about deception and possibly lies, right? Lies, deception, disillusionment when it comes to certain spiritual teachers and gurus, and believing in people and then realizing later on, oh my gosh, why did I trust them? Oh, yeah. But when it comes to the selflessness stuff, you may be really giving and charitable when it comes to the knowledge you share. And you may appreciate it when others are like this, when others are very charitable with their wisdom, with their knowledge, etc. Even following on from this point, Neptune in the ninth house, folks, following a philosophy that is based on compassion is something that you're about. Yes. And you may also set out on this journey to question this reality, to question, what is this all about? Why do I exist? Why am I here, etc. And sure, you may not be able to make logical sense out of these things, or these things may not be rational, etc. But there is still this part of you that is willing to question, willing to dive deep in this regard, willing to push boundaries as well when it comes to religion and truth. Again, as for the delusion stuff, I mean, it could be, you may be sort of susceptible, and I say this with love, you may be susceptible to cult-like teachings, right? Where you just sort of follow a certain figure, and then you put them on a pedestal, and then you later realize that they were actually really manipulative and really uh, not really what they made themselves out to be. But it could also be a part of this where you're projecting your own visions and fantasies onto them, and then you're left disappointed. So that, I would say, to be cautious. Now, if Pisces rules the ninth house cusp in your chart, you could very well relate to some of the information that I just shared there, but you want to think about locating both Neptune and Jupiter within the chart, then bring that information back to that of your beliefs, your worldviews, your philosophies, so on, so forth. All right, so let's now turn our focus to Neptune in the 10th house individuals. Right, so if you have Neptune in the 10th house, what we notice when it comes to you is that, well, you're widely known for being selfless people, for being compassionate people. You're widely known for your imagination, for your creative practices, for your spiritual practices. Now, the thing about this is this could be more of a later on in life thing, right? So perhaps it's that your career will involve you using your imagination. It will involve you following your dreams, following your fantasies, your visions. Maybe your career is related to music, film, photography, media. You could very well grow to become quite a well-known, famous person, right? Um, Dress up could be a big thing here. Glamour, disguise, acting, drama. But then again, yeah, sure, this could be more about those spiritual goals of yours, those spiritual achievements, and being successful when it comes to your spiritual practices. Naturally, this could also possibly be related to that of a profession that involves water, fish, deep sea diving, possibly the ocean, or it could be that your social media shows these images, these themes of water, and you may feel really close to the water, really connected with the water. And maybe even later on in life, you prefer to live by the sea, possibly. Or it could be that your social media presence shows the tarot, crystals, possibly. Yes, just being known as someone who is really into this stuff. You appreciate this stuff so much, and you may even become a healer, a mentor, a guide, a medium, right? Someone who can support others too using these tools, right? You could very well inspire other people to follow their dreams. You could be this type of person who says, no dream is too big. Go after what you want. You can do this. So other people could feel your feel your love and your kindness in this regard. Naturally, the other thing about this is, well, you could possess many dreams that you would like to achieve, but maybe too many. Maybe things can be quite blurry, things can be quite confusing, or you could get caught up in or swept up in other people's images, other people's desires and wants. And then you're kind of lost in all of that. And maybe things are quite elusive too. Maybe it's hard to pin you down in this way. It could be this whole situation of you gain a certain reputation, right, for being a particular way. Okay. You gain a reputation for being this artistic person, right? A painter. Let's go with that. You're the painter. But then what happens is things change. There's the mystery there. Things change, and then before you know it, you're known for your music. That's what you're known for. You're known later on for how you dance. Maybe for you, it's important to be able to kind of play around with all of these different creative outlets. But naturally, the thing about this is because there can be this inconsistency, perhaps you can not really give things a lot of time to really evolve and to really grow. Naturally, hey, for some people, it is just about that creative flow, and that's okay too. But it's just that if you're really wanting to focus in on a particular path, there could be some confusion there, or getting swept up in, oh, this new dream or that new dream. But the other thing is that you can place a lot of that sort of dreaminess, if you will, that imagination that you have into the roles that you do, right? This could be, for example, you trying on different hats and playing different characters, so to speak. Yes, you maybe become known as that person who has sort of transitioned time and time and time again. It makes me think about, I'll just even give an example. So as I was saying with Pisces, the Pisces house, you may relate to some of the information based on Neptune, right? I'm pretty sure Lady Gaga has a Gemini rising. She's got Pisces on the 10th house cusp. This is whole sign, by the way. And I see this actually with Lady Gaga, right? She's been acting, she's a performer, she's a songwriter, she's a singer. Yeah, so essentially all of this is to say she does a little bit of everything. And she's so good at it. And the clothes that she wears, the many styles, she's always switching things up. So for you, with Neptune in the 10th house, you could be like this. You may become known for your ability to switch things up, to be fluid about your path, about your direction. Naturally, here, something to maybe be aware of is being addicted to how you're displayed in front of the world and not seeing yourself clearly, or this could be where others project onto you, or you project yourself sort of onto others, onto your audience, or you can become caught up in this pedestal stuff where you need to be perfect. How you look needs to be perfect. How you appear needs to be perfect in front of the public. Then again, this could be where you feel invisible at times. You feel like you're disconnected from who you truly are, right? The public persona, the public image stuff, you could become swallowed whole in that, or there could be some uncertainty there. The mist, the fog with Neptune. But what I will say is when we think about your selflessness, oh my gosh, you can be so charitable. That's the thing with Lady Gaga. I'm pretty sure she started her own charity, or she gives to charity quite a lot. So for you, you could be like this. You could give to charitable causes. You could start your own charitable causes. You could even work with animals, become known as that person who is very considerate and caring and kind toward animals. Very intuitive, right? Becoming known for your intuition, becoming known as this spiritual guide, becoming known as someone who can pass on these sort of spiritual messages to the world, right? The cosmic sort of downloads that you receive there. Yes. How fascinating for you, Neptune in the 10th house. Though, just one more thing I want to mention about the kind of disillusionment stuff. Maybe this is where it's important not to place your identity into the hands of the public, because it could be this whole situation where you're trying to be this way for this group of people, and then, oh, you're changing because these other people want something from you. And it can just feel like you become so out of touch with yourself. So that would be something I would say to be aware of there. Neptune in the 10th house, folks. Now, if Pisces does rule the 10th house cusp, or if Pisces is on the midheaven, you may relate to some of the information that I just shared. But what you want to think about is locating both Neptune and Jupiter in the chart, then bringing that information back to your successes, your achievements, and your public image. Okay, let's now think about Neptune in the 11th house, folks. Okay, so if you have Neptune in the 11th house, well, this is where we notice you getting in with people who are very creative, very imaginative, spiritual people, right? With the groups and clubs that you join, right? This could be you entering into these really like spiritual clubs where people feel this connection, and there's compassion, there's harmony, there's love, there's kindness. Or you could even join a dance class, you could join a poetry class, a swimming class, you may be part of a film group there. Something creative, something creative. Plus, you just might sacrifice your own needs for the needs of the group. Now, yes, this could be where the selflessness comes in, where when you enter into the group, you're like, yeah, sure, no problem. I want to help other people. I want to be there to support, to serve, etc. And you may do all the things, show all of that kindness toward others, listen to others, be charitable, be giving toward others. But maybe it can get to a point where you feel like you're being pushed and pulled in all of these different directions, because kind of similar with the 10th house, Neptune in the 10th house, folks, you could feel like someone from the group just wants something from you all the time. And it's hard for you to be there to maybe assist other people. And maybe as well, there could be something about wanting to give in equal measure, but that within itself is so difficult and so challenging. It could also be where certain group members project onto you, right? So being emotionally manipulated into giving to a charity or contributing to a cause. So there could be certain group members who convince you, like, yes, you need to do this, or you must give off your money or give off your time or your resources here. And you may want to give, of course, but you may not recognize that they are manipulating you, manipulating the situation, maybe for their own gain, possibly, or because they don't want to contribute as much. Now, on the other hand, we do notice, okay, sure, there can be feelings of disappointment there, being taken for granted, other people manipulating, etc. But it could also be where there are certain members within the group where you feel this genuine connection. And even if there are these moments of disillusionment, disappointment, etc., you can maybe get yourself to a point where you find the right types of people who align with you spiritually, who are actually genuine, who are loving, and they don't try to just use you to their own personal gain. Think about this in relation to friendship, right? Because the 11th house is also about friendship. So consider then the types of friends that you are a part of. Who do you surround yourself with? Hey, it could be that you surround yourself with certain friends who, well, they have addictive tendencies. They may even go down a pretty rough path where there are illegal things happening, criminal activity stuff happening, and you can get swept up in that. And this is not to judge or shame anybody, but maybe if this is the path you have went down throughout your life, maybe you come to a point of, I can't do this anymore. This isn't good for me. This is not healthy for me. So coming to terms with healthy boundaries here, not getting involved with friends who, well, they take part in those activities. But hey, it could also be where you go to parties and raves and shows and festivals with your friends. Maybe you're big on going to certain parties and just having fun, and just living in the moment. Or you may go on retreats with your friends, holidays with your friends. You love to escape with them, and that can be like a really, really exciting thing for you. Plus, with the selfless stuff, oh my gosh, you can be so selfless. You may take part in humanitarian causes. You may join certain movements. You may do community work, social sort of events you'll go to help other people. Even when it comes to networking and the group stuff involved with the 11th house, maybe you are that person who can flow in and out of different groups. Naturally, there could also be another part of this suggesting being quite shy or distant at times, or just even intuitively being able to sense and feel the types of people that you want to connect with there, right? So there is that. And you may also dream of a better future, a better future for the planet. Yes. And sure, okay, these ideals could be unrealistic. This perfect vision that you visualize may not be so realistic or rooted within reality, but that doesn't stop you from from dreaming, from believing, etc. Maybe you even put in some effort to make those things happen. And with the deception stuff, yes, this is where I was saying there, possibly being deceived by friends, disappointed by friends. So this is where we notice with you establishing and developing healthy boundaries, Neptune in the 11th house, folks. Now, if Pisces rules the 11th house cusp in your chart, you may very well relate to some of the information that I just shared there. But what you want to do is locate both Neptune and Jupiter within your chart, bring that information back to the friendship stuff, humanity stuff, teamwork, etc. Right. Lastly, then, we're coming to the end, everybody. We've got Neptune in the 12th house. Well, here we go, because the 12th house is the domain of Pisces. We have Neptune coming here into this position. Such intuitive people. My gosh, your imagination can be so vivid, so clear. The visions you have, I'm sure, are surreal. Maybe too much at times. Let me just say that. You could become swept up in these visions, these fantasies, these dreams of yours. Heck, you could be the types of people who have a dream and then it comes true. It comes true. And you're like, what? Am I psychic? Because you may have psychic abilities. You could possess this strong knowing, right? This inner knowing of this is going to happen. I feel it. I feel it to my core. I feel it in my bones. And maybe it does. It does. Plus, you could be very sensitive to the actual dreams that you have. So I can sort of see this as you having a certain dream, and because it feels so real, right? It feels so real. Then you're impacted for a few days later. You need rest. Maybe you even need rest after the dream, or you think about the dream multiple times throughout the day or for a few days. Maybe you have a dream journal, and if you don't have a dream journal, I recommend having one. Write down your dreams. See if there's a pattern. See if there's anything kind of common there. And notice messages. You could be the types of people who get all of these synchronicities. You're like, oh, I see all the numbers. Oh, I see the continuous patterns and things. Oh, I see this image here. Oh, and I'm seeing it over here as well. And you're just pulled, like you're pulled in all of these directions. And your unconscious mind can just be so wow in this way. Perhaps meditating can be really useful for you, just taking on some type of spiritual practice, anything to help bring you to center. Because here's the thing about it too, Neptune in the 12th house, folks. Sure, yes, the imagination stuff can be wild and fun and colorful, really playful. And you can bring these things to your creative projects, if you will, with the creativity and the artistic stuff to do with Neptune. But it could also possibly lean more towards, oh, I'm seeing things, I'm hallucinating. Oh, I'm not sure what's fact from fiction. I'm not sure what's real. Or it could be that you become so swept up in the imaginative stuff and the dreamlike stuff where it's hard to focus, it's hard to concentrate, it's hard to make it through the day. For instance, if you have a really bad night's sleep, and if this is a pattern with you, this is where we could possibly see the hallucinations, or we can see issues with your health. Okay, so maybe if you are listening to this and you've got Neptune in the 12th, maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you've went to some type of advisor, you've reached out for help, and you've addressed this stuff within yourself, and you've done a lot of reflection throughout your life, right? You've done all of that contemplation stuff within your own solitude, right? Behind the scenes, you're able to go within, just be. to breathe out. Yeah, I mean, your dreams could wake you up at night. They could keep you up at night. And maybe you need at times sleeping tablets to help you. Heck, it could be here medications that you're on. Perhaps you do need some type of medication to support you. And as I say this, by the way, I don't say this to judge or anything like that. I'm saying this, I'm thinking to myself, you may relate to this information and you may see how certain medications have supported you, right? There could also be here the endless amounts of time that you spend alone, escaping, indulging in escapism, just needing that space to yourself. But what I would also say about this is being cautious of too much time alone. Maybe you can actually at times get caught up in loneliness feelings because perhaps you feel disconnected from others or you feel like you can't quite relate to others. You may withdraw here. There could be challenges with addiction, issues with addiction here. Maybe it can be just difficult for you to cope with everyday life. So that's a thing too. Again, perhaps you've reached out for some type of support there. Perhaps there's been a lot of healing on your part. And with selflessness, hey, very well here it could be that you have entered into positions and roles that have required some type of care and support toward others. Maybe this could be working within the medical industry, for example, working within hospitals. Maybe this could be even if you notice that your spouse, your child, your friend, they are struggling, they're battling with something addictive there, they're struggling with their own mental health, their well-being, you're there, right? You're there to support them, to love them, to be there for them throughout it all. And of course, here's the thing about the addictive stuff. If it becomes manipulative, if it becomes deceptive, right? It's the whole thing. You can't force someone to help themselves when it comes to addictive challenges. You can't force them to change. They need to arrive to that themselves. So if you can sense that there is any of that kind of manipulating the situation with you, right, with your kindness, your empathy, your compassion, then this is where you need to pull back. And maybe, hey, you relate to this. You relate to this. It's just people could very well pull on your heartstrings. You could feel sorry for those you can't save. You could feel guilty because it's like, oh, I didn't save them. I wasn't there for them. But there's so much to be said about you. There's only so much you can do. And it's not your responsibility. It also requires that effort from other people. Naturally with this, it depends on the situation. There's nuance to this. It's not black and white. I even think here that whenever no one is looking, this is where you really cry. This is where you let all of the stresses, all of the worries, all of the sorrows, which you could experience quite a bit, all the sorrows when it comes to humanity and the world, etc. You let all of it out. Plus, you can let all of that emotion out through your art. All the imagination stuff, it pours out of you and you create the most fascinating things that can help and assist other people. And maybe it's not even about that. Maybe a lot of that is to do with yourself. Creating from a place of, it's not about showing it with the world. It's about keeping this for myself. And that within itself is very therapeutic. Again, though, just I would say here that with the disillusionment stuff, remember here the importance of taking care of your own personal needs. And if there are Well, if there is anything that's eating you up inside, any emotional things just getting to you, maybe this is where we notice the importance of reaching out for help. But then again, if it is that you feel so lonely and isolated, reaching out for help is not an easy thing, is it? Hopefully, there are people in your life who can sense that, you know what, your Neptune in the 12th house is feeling lonely. They're going through it themselves. So maybe that's something that you long for. And that's quite a sad thing too. If it is that you wish other people would, but they don't, you know? But I'll end this by saying you may feel a profound connection with the divine. You could be all into your prayers, spirituality, religion. If it is that you possess a particular faith there, yeah, you could very well possess this real strong connection with the divine. Now, if Pisces rules the 12th house cusp in your chart, you could very well relate to the information that I just shared there, but you want to think about locating Neptune and Jupiter in the chart. Bring that information back to your spiritual practices, your alone time, isolation, solitude, etc. Okay, everyone, this has been Neptune through the houses. Yes. Now, again, just a reminder, if you want to join the Patreon, you can do so. It is down below. Thank you so much to my patrons for all of your support. And with that, everybody, this has been Neptune through the houses. Thank you so much for listening all. If you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. And if you really did enjoy this presentation today, you can always buy me a coffee, but hey, no pressure to do anything. But in general here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let me know where is Neptune in your chart. Neptune is in Capricorn conjunct Venus in the 5th house in my chart. Anyway, everyone, thank you again, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye!